Hello and welcome to my channel. Vibrato is one of the most requested videos on my channel, and today I decided to make a new one with more and interesting angles that I learned during the last year. The first thing you need to know about vibrato is that you need to have the right setup on your violin. What does it mean? Well, it means that you need to know how to hold your violin and to be very, very relaxed, because if you have tension somewhere, you're not going to be able to make the best vibrato. So the first thing and most important is to check that you don't squeeze and you don't lift your shoulder up. And you also need to know the frame of the left hand, which is also crucial to the vibrato. The second thing is the intonation. Contrary to what many people believe, vibrato doesn't disguise a bad intonation. If you feel comfortable with your setup and intonation, then we can go on and talk about how you can develop your vibrato. I also want you to know that vibrato is not one of these techniques that is developing very fast in a week or two. You need to be very consistent and to have a routine every day where you practice your vibrato, and then it can take some long time, up to 1 year, and you have to be patient with yourself. Okay, so if you have all of this in mind, I would like you to try the first exercise. So you're going to put the egg shaker between these 3 fingers here. And then you turn your hand and have in mind the 4th finger, just to get the right frame of your hand. And then you start to shake it. And as you probably know, there are 2 types of vibrato or more. And one of them is wrist and arm and also shoulder. But I don't want you to be so picky about this right now. I want you to have like all of the joints and the muscles of your arm very relaxed. So the next thing I want you to do is to find a soft surface for your violin. I'm using my note stand, and just put the screw on there and continue to do the same movement with the egg shaker while you're having the violin on the stand. And after you did this motion with the egg shaker, I want you to continue to do the movement still on a soft surface that you put your screw on, and have a relaxed position of your hand and shoulder, and then do the movement with the finger. Just slide 1 finger on the string, very, very loose. And you can try to do it with all your fingers. And once you feel comfortable with that, you can take away the stand and do the same movement as you did before with the stand. So the motion is initiated from your biceps, but the small joints will help your motion to come to the end of your fingers. After you try that one, we're going to do last exercise before we do the real vibrato. So as I said before, the motion is coming from the whole arm, but the motion that is making the bend of the note is basically your last joint. And I want you to put your fingers on the shoulder of your instrument and then try to bend this last joint. It's basically that one that we are going to do vibrato with. It's this one. So difficult to just bend that one. That one. So we're going to bend it here on the instrument. Do it with all of the fingers again. And the fourth, which is quite difficult. For the next exercise, I want you to grab your metronome and put it on 60. And then we are going to do a half row up and increase the tempo. So you're going to put your first finger, and don't worry if it's not on tune. When you start to vibrate, you're most likely going to be tempted to squeeze sideways between your thumb and your index finger, and also with the finger that you are playing with. So be aware of that and make sure that the only pressure that you have is on the finger that you're playing with, diagonal, and the thumb. And that should be as little pressure as possible. Check also with your arm that you have a very relaxed and straight line here, and that your elbow is correctly positioned under, so you're not doing this. In order for your index finger not to squeeze, you can actually have a small distance between the fingerboard and your index finger, and that will allow your finger and vibrato of the first finger and also the other fingers feel more comfortable. But especially when you're doing the vibrato with the index finger, you will not want to squeeze. And the next important thing is that you will have your vibrato only on the inner corner of your finger. So it's happening here and not on the other side. It's exactly where I have my black mark. You see it correct? So that's also very important, where on the finger you are vibrating. So what we're going to do now next is to practice the feeling of the vibrato. We're not getting the feeling of the vibrato by doing this, even if we're doing it faster. I think that the feeling is more like when we did the egg shaker, and that's why the next exercise is called slide and shake, and it will look like this. So first we are sliding, and then we'll do the vibrato again. And you can do that for 60 seconds and just exchange between the slide and the finger vibrato. So what I was doing is to add a hint of pressure to the finger until it starts moving. So this is the movement, and then eventually if you make it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, it will just be a natural vibrato. So do the same exercise for every finger for 60 seconds. So because you're doing this big motion, when you stop the motion and start to vibrate, you may be out of tune, so don't worry about that. The next thing is to practice your vibrato on a scale. And when you're doing that, you can think of your whole hand moving and not just specific finger. In that way, when you change finger, your hand will still continue to vibrate. When you play the scale, your vibrato should be loose and wide, so don't worry if it sounds too slow when you're playing it. That's okay. I'll probably make new series of vibrato videos where you can listen to how to master your vibrato and make it personal. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope it was helpful. Give me thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.